An official history is a work of history which is sponsored, authorized or endorsed by its subject. The term is most commonly used for histories which are produced for a government. The term also applies to commissions from non-state bodies as company histories, i.e. histories of commercial companies. An official biography is often known as an authorized biography. Official histories frequently have the advantage that the author or authors have been given access to archives, could interview subjects and use other primary sources that would be closed to independent historians. Because of the necessarily close relationship between author and subject, such works may be partisan in tone and to lack historical objectivity. Such bias varies, and some official histories are little more than exercises in public relations and promotion, whereas in other cases the authors have retained sufficient independence to be able to express negative as well as positive judgments about their subjects. Historical official histories. There is a long tradition of history being written or published under official patronage. They include, for example, the Anglica Historia, a history of England written by Polydore Virgil at the request of King Henry VII, and William Camden's Annale Rerum Gestarum Angliae Hiberniae, Regnate Elizabetha, a history of the reign of Elizabeth I of England. In early modern Europe, certain royal courts appointed official historians. These included the Rikshistoriograph in Sweden from 1618, the Historiographer Royal in England from 1660, and the Historiographer Royal in Scotland from 1681. The Scottish Post is still in existence. Each book in the 24 histories records the official history of a Chinese dynasty. 16 of the histories were written between the 7th and 15th centuries. The first is Records of the Grand Historian, authored by Sima Qian in the Han Dynasty, and the last is History of Ming in 1735. The official histories were compiled since the Tang Dynasty by a government office for historiography. They were revised and expanded over the course of a dynasty, up until the point that a final edition is published by the succeeding dynasty. Modern official histories. Modern governments have commissioned official histories for a range of purposes. These include promoting the government's achievements, reflecting on past practices, commemorating events, and providing an authoritative record for other historians to draw from. Military history is a particularly common topic for official histories to cover. Military official histories. Austria-Hungary Österreich-Ungarns Letzter Krieg 1914–1918. Australia Official history of Australia in the War of 1914–1918. Australia in the War of 1939–1945. Australia in the Korean War 1950–53. The official history of Australia's involvement in Southeast Asian conflicts 1948–1975. Official history of Australian peacekeeping, humanitarian and post-Cold War operations. Britain history of the Great War. History of the Second World War. Canada official history of the Canadian Army in the First World War. Official history of the Canadian Army in the Second World War. France Les armes acutes françaises dans la Grande Guerre. Germany Der Weltkrieg 1914–1918 Militärisch und Operation in Zuland. Der Krieg Zursee 1914–1918. Die Bayern im Großen Kriege 1914–1918. Das Deutsche Reich und der Zweite Weltkrieg. India official history of the Indian Armed Forces in the Second World War. New Zealand official history of New Zealand's effort in the Great War. Official history of New Zealand in the Second World War 1939–45. United States the U.S. Army in World War II. South Africa South African Forces World War II.